everyone. Welcome back to Baggage Claim, Unpack Your Bags with Dr. Danita. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are in season 5. I can't believe it's been a whole year since I've gone live with Baggage Claim. The end of 2021 nearly sucked the life out of me. So I took 2022 as my year of healing. And I took what I considered an amazing journey of me. I focused on my wellness, my mind, my body, my spirit. I took time to just reflect on some of my lived experiences. I processed life where I was and thought about my future, discovered some things about me that I liked, some things that I didn't like, some things that I should have been celebrating. I took some time to even grieve in ways that I hadn't done in the past. Loved on my family and even got some travel in. So as you can see, I have a whole lot to share and I'm back to tell the story. And I do hope that you will find these episodes to be helpful for wherever you may be in your season of life. As always, there will be mental health tips, there'll be education, and I hope that it will be beneficial for you as you join us on each episode. So, are you ready to take this journey with me? If so, let's go live. Well, hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to Baggage Claim, Unpack Your Bags with Dr. Danita. I am happy that you joined us tonight. Happy that you're back. For those of you who have been with us for all 6 episodes, thank you so much. Give us thumbs up, give us those hearts, give us those likes, and go ahead and take a few minutes to like and share it with all of your friends. I think tonight is going to be another great episode. I don't think I'm going to need my box of tissues on tonight. Last week was a little bit of a struggle, but we made it through. If you didn't get an opportunity to see last week's episode or the previous week's episodes, I know that they will be beneficial for you. You will all of my episodes are really related to everyday life experiences, so it would help you. It's always helpful for me, and I've said this on some of the other episodes. I've talked about how it's helpful for me when I listen to other people's stories and hear how they overcame certain adversities or challenges, or just celebrating some of the things that they have done encourages me. So I think that you viewing some of these episodes from the past 6 weeks will definitely say, oh, well, that's a good idea. Or, wow, I experienced that too. And wow, if she could overcome that, so could I. Or if she could deal with or experience, so could I. So anyway. While you're at it, go to the YouTube channel and subscribe, and you'll get the notifications if you hit that notification bell. So let's see who's watching, who has joined us. For me, if my family joins me, that's all I need. I do want other people to be blessed by what I'm sharing, but when my family joins, they are my greatest cheerleaders. And so that's exciting for me. So tonight, this is the final episode, as I shared. Tonight, I am celebrating me. I mentioned in the intro video that I had taken a whole year. To choose the right audio apps for you. Which one do you want to use to listen to this? All right. I don't want to use any of them, and I need you to be quiet. So I took an entire year just to work on me, to think about me, to reflect on me, to think about life and me, think about where I'm going next, think about where I've been, processing relationships, events that have happened, all things that have experiences that I have had that have made a major impact on my life. And I did that all in counseling. And it's really been an amazing journey. I didn't only work on my emotional and spiritual well being, but I also have been working very diligently on my physical health. And so I'm going to share some of those things on tonight. So thank you to my family. Thank you, Whit. Thank you for joining, Tiffany. So a number of studies have found that celebrating brings significant benefits, including improved physical health, better coping strategies. People who take time to reflect and celebrate, people who take time to celebrate their successes are generally more optimistic. They generally take better care of themselves, and they tend to be less stressed. Celebrations increase people's sense of well-being, regardless of socioeconomic status or any kind of socioeconomic factors, regardless of education, regardless of age and gender. So tonight's topic is a celebration of me. And as I share, as I talk to you a little bit about the things that I reflected on, I want you to also think about things that you can celebrate for yourself. We often get into, I know for me personally, I live in the rat race, and I have to be intentional about pulling back and taking a moment to think about what I've just done, where I've been. And this is recent because I have lived my life in just accomplishing goals, accomplishing things, and moving on to the next. I talked about it in, I think, episode 3. My natural personality is to drive, and work for perfection, which perfection never comes. So I'm learning that good enough is where I want to be. Of course, I want to live in excellence, but not necessarily striving for perfection. So take a moment, and even if you want to post something that you achieved, for it can be anything. I think a lot of times we wait for the big goals that we have been able to accomplish, or wait for the big thing and forget that there are baby steps along the way and small things that we can celebrate that we have been able to achieve. For some people, especially when I'm working with clients, just getting out of bed in the morning is a celebration. For some people, being able to go to work and not take off for a month, not take off a day in a month is a celebration. So whatever your celebration is, whatever milestone, graduation, whatever, having a baby, getting married, your child just started walking, anything that brings you joy, that is not, something that would make you feel negative, is a positive experience, is worth celebrating. So, hey, Kiara, thanks for joining. My Kiara will be on with me for a few minutes. She has a client at 8. But thank you for joining. So while I was in counseling, my counselor brought to my attention that for the first few sessions, most of what I talked about was related to other people, who I was helping, or my concerns about my children, or some relationships, or something about my husband, or something about the church, a lot about the church. And incidentally, I know that possibly people want to know, well, why does she talk so much about the church? Well, people who don't go to church don't necessarily realize, or people who are not committed, uh, um, born again believers, committed to their faith, and are weekly church attenders, don't really know how much church is a part of someone's life. So for me, church was a part of my life just like my work. Church was a part of my life just like my family. And so, and then being a pastor, just like I'm a CEO of my business, when you're a pastor, it's like being a CEO of the church, and it's always on your mind. It's everything that you do. So so that's why it hit every single episode, because it's that prominent, in my life. But anyway, my counselor brought to my attention that a lot of what I talked about was referencing other people and other things. And then he asked me at the top of one of the sessions, what about you? What about you? What do you like? What do you want to do? What brings you joy? Let's just make this entire session about you. Let's reflect on your life. What were the good things, the good, the bad, the ugly? What did you learn from some of the things that you experienced? What could you celebrate about you that's not necessarily attached to somebody else? It's just about you. And to be honest, I started and I struggled and I would stray. He's like, no, come back. Let's talk about you. We're not talking about you attached to your husband, or you attached to your children, or you attached to some other young person that you're helping. I want to know about you. And so he took me back to my early days, my early childhood. And like we went through the life stages of, or the lifespan, I should say, to today. And just thinking about the good times, the bad times, and even in the bad times, my assignment was to process through what I got out of the bad time, because people could get stuck in their past. They could get stuck in what didn't happen, what should have happened, the woulda, coulda, shouldas, and not move forward in life, and not be able to really think about anything to celebrate, because they're stuck in all of the negativity of their past experiences. So that's one of the things that as I go along, I always drop, tips. So that's one of the things that I would encourage people to, in their reflective time, in their journaling time, to be intentional about not being stuck and developing an attitude of gratitude. Because when you develop an attitude of gratitude, you're able to be more intentional about highlighting those things that you can celebrate. So I went back to my childhood. Okay, wait, before I go there, Whitney said, come on, celebrations. Okay, all right, well, what you celebrating, Whitney? Tiffany said that she and Karan are celebrating that today they got an official move date for her transition to New Jersey from California. I'm so excited about that. I can't wait there's more. July 31st. I'm excited. Can't wait for you to be a New Jerseyan, Tiffany. So anyone else that wants to pose? Hi, Aquila, thank you for joining. Anyone else that wants to post a celebration, just go ahead. So he took me back to early childhood. And I thought about the first thing that, well, maybe not the first thing that came to my mind, but my mom this is prominent for me, and I remember it. I don't remember when my mother told me this, but it always sticks with me. That my mom said that when I was a baby in a carriage, and I'm dating myself because women don't have carriages today, but when I was a baby in the carriage, this little old Jewish woman looked in the carriage and she said to my mom, she didn't know that she was prophesying over my life, but she said to my mom, whatever this little girl puts her hands on, she's going to have. And I have held on to that my entire life in terms of goals and career. And when things feel very difficult and very hard to attain, my faith arises. And I have on this shirt, Unshakable Faith. Shout out to my friend, Dr. Denise King. She wrote a book, Unshakable Faith, and this is her t-shirt. But anyway, my faith arises because I remember what this little Jewish woman pronounced over my life. So I hold on to that. Whatever she touches, whatever her hands touch, she's going to have. And so even though that was spoken over my life when I was only months old, I went through a lot of what we would call in counseling, in the counseling field, adverse childhood experiences. And there's an assessment for, it's called an ACE assessment, the Adverse Childhood Experiences Assessment. And so when I take that assessment, there are some things on it that I am able to check off that would be in the category of adverse childhood experiences that could have impacted my adulthood. That particular assessment, the studies show that people who have certain numbers on the scores on this assessment, they're at more risk for physical illness, their life into adulthood, and more at risk for emotional illness into adulthood. And so some of the things that I checked off, being, well, not raised in a single home all of my life, but from the age of 12, very critical year of my life, critical time, being a preteen and going into teen years when any young girl would need her dad. I've shared, I don't know if I've shared on the live, but I've shared with others that my dad said he was leaving to go and get a pack of cigarettes. He was only supposed to be going to the store, and he never came back. And that's traumatic for a 12-year-old. And so, and I considered myself a daddy's girl. So that was definitely one of my adverse childhood experiences. Growing up in a home with someone who's an alcoholic. My dad was an alcoholic. That's an adverse childhood experience. Being molested, that was me. That was an adverse childhood experience. Being a product of divorce, that's an adverse childhood experience. At one point, I felt like, and my counselor pointed this out to me, I felt almost, and it may have been just a season that my mom was going through, but I almost felt parentified. Maybe not necessarily that she did it, but I felt like I had to do everything to make sure that she was good. That was an internal thing that I took on. So my behavior, I needed to make sure that she was going to be good and I wouldn't bring her any problems, or I wanted to make sure that I think I just wanted to make sure that she was happy. And that wasn't my role. It wasn't my job as a child. And often we find that children step into roles where they're not ready for, they're not supposed to be ready for, but there's expectations. And let me just drop this. If you are a mother and you're a single mom and you are raising a son, do not tell that little boy that he is the man of the house. He's not the man of the house. And it's not his responsibility to be anything like the man of the house. And it just came to me because it's so common. It's so common for women to think that they are helping their sons grow and grow into manhood. If he's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, he has a lot of years before he needs to even be thinking about being a man. Allow him to enjoy his childhood. So those adverse childhood experiences that I lived could have very well put me in position of not being able to move throughout life and accomplish goals and be emotionally well and be physically well. But thanks be to God, they impacted me, but not to the extent where it stunted me. And so I'm grateful for that. Another adverse childhood experience was my experience with racism. My parents we lived in the projects, but my parents moved to an area where the projects happened to be in an all-white neighborhood. Well, it started out that way. And at that time, in those days, white people used the projects as stepping stones. Unfortunately, we didn't have the opportunity to use the projects as a stepping stone, and it became our resting place. And so by the time I was in middle school, the project was all African American, and it became a fearful experience. The lights out in the stairwell, and anybody who grew up in the projects, you know what it's like. I was grateful that I only lived on the 3rd floor. But I would call my mom from outside. Mom, I'm coming up, and each time I would round the next level, hoping that I would be safe and that no one would jump out and harm me or do something to me and take me to the roof, whatever. So that was another adverse childhood experience, and just walking the outskirts of the neighborhood. I remember one time these guys, they drove up and they threw bottles out at, I don't know if it was me and my sister, I can't remember. I feel like we were walking to the bowling alley, we were on a bowling league. And then they shouted the N-word and told us to go back to Harlem. And I was like, I don't even know where Harlem is. At that time, I wasn't culturally versed at that time. I didn't really know what going to Harlem meant. I didn't know that that's where most it was heavily populated with African Americans. So I was like, okay, well, what does that even mean? But that was just one experience. I could take a whole episode with experiences that I've had well into adulthood that would fall in the category of racism, but that's not what this show is about. So I remember that my foundation that I think helped me not to get stuck in those adverse experiences was the church. My mom had us living in the church, and many people have a lot of those stories where they were at church every time the door was open. Well, that's my story too. And so when I look back on it, I don't regret having that foundation. I am very excited that I have overcome a lot of the parts of it, the religious parts of my upbringing that didn't help me. It didn't help me in my Christian walk. It didn't help me in my relationship with Christ. And so I'm grateful to have overcome, but I will never, ever say that my foundation wasn't solid and wasn't what I needed at that time. And I believe that that really did help me through some of those experiences that I had that could have very well caused negative ramifications into adulthood. So I celebrate those experiences because they made me stronger. I wouldn't say that if I had to do it over, that that's what I would want, but I'm learning how to find the good and find what I can take away from anything that I have experienced. And then transitioning into young adulthood, I got married very young, and we're going to write a book one day, my husband and I, a recipe for disaster. But I'm looking for the next line to counteract that line. So I don't know what the next line is, but I don't want it to just stay with like our marriage was a disaster. It was in the beginning. Just getting married at 18 and 21, not knowing who we were, what we wanted, no goals, not ready, too immature, no money. I mean, that's a recipe for disaster. But we overcame. We had resilience. Well, that's what we did have. We had good Christian foundation, even though we weren't living like Christians, but we had good Christian foundations. We had tenacity. We had commitment. And those are things that are missing today in relationship. And yeah, I'll just leave that because this is not a relationship episode. But anyway, the fact that we hung in there, we were able to be blessed with 3 amazing children. Amazing. And I don't know that I tell them enough how amazing I think they are. My friend Q and I, we watched TD Jakes' YouTube, Winning at Home. And I was convicted over about several things that he said, but he talked a lot about his children and how much he loves his children, and how it doesn't matter where they are in life. They could be broke, they could be on top of the mountain, they could be living lifestyles that he doesn't approve of, they could be making the worst mistakes in life. They're his children, and that's the way that that's my heart posture. You all, I'm not going to talk about you. I'm going to say it to you. You all are my children, and because I know you all are on, and I absolutely adore you all. And in the end, that's all you have is your family. My sister is watching. It's all you have is your family. My husband is watching. People will celebrate you. He was TD Jakes was saying is people will celebrate you and lift you up and pump you up until they find out that you're human. And this was in my leadership position, until they find out that you're human. And then really all you have is your children. You can make 5,000 mistakes with your children and your husband and your siblings. Not everybody. This is for me. They would never, ever throw me out. We've had lots of disagreements, and we're able to, and I celebrate them tonight. I celebrate you all tonight. I celebrate the us. I celebrate the relationship that we have. I celebrate the fact that we can sit down and have conversations about things that are difficult, things that we don't like about each other, things about ways in which we've hurt each other, and be able to move forward. I celebrate that. Yeah, I celebrate that. So I moved on into adulthood and went to school and achieved several degrees. And I don't want to hop, skip, and jump over this. But as an aside, I want to say that my struggle initially with this episode was that I've never done this. I've never just sat and told people, oh, I have degrees. Oh, I have a business. Oh, I with this, or I did that, or I've never done that. But I'm excited about it tonight. I'm excited to be able to say what I've accomplished because I put a lot of work into it, and I earned it. And so I was blessed to be able to earn a bachelor's in business management and marketing. And I didn't know then how much my path was being guided by God. I didn't do much with that degree early on, but I clearly, running a business, am using some of the principles and skills and things that I learned with that particular degree, and then decided business wasn't for me and went into teaching. And those were some of the most rewarding years and years to be celebrated. I made relationships with my students that carry on today. I was teaching in the 80s and the very early 90s, and to today, I have students that still call me, students that hit me up on Facebook, students that visit me, and I'm honored by that, and I celebrate that. I celebrate those years. So as I'm going through this and giving you examples of celebrating me, I'm hoping that it will encourage you to celebrate you and celebrate the things the experiences and the lived experiences that you have had over your life. So then I decided that I really didn't enjoy teaching. Well, let me take that back. I enjoy teaching. I don't enjoy the responsibility of being an educator. I don't enjoy grading papers. I don't enjoy developing exams and topics for papers and research, all of that. I don't enjoy any of that. I like imparting knowledge. And if I could go in and just impart knowledge and wasn't responsible for somebody passing or graduating or getting an A or a B or a C or whatever, if that wasn't part of it, I would do it every day. And so one of my long-term goals is to begin offering CEs in counseling, and there I can just be a facilitator of knowledge, and then people can do whatever they want to do with that information, and I won't be responsible for what they do with it. But that's a future goal. So after teaching, I decided, I had Kiara, our promised child, and I wanted to know what it was like to be a stay-home mom. And so when she was 1, that's when I left teaching, and I was home with her until she went to kindergarten. And I did some contract work, and I did work where I was able to take her with me. I was working as I was doing training in child care centers, and I would take her with me, put her in one room, train the teachers, take her, and we drive back home. And that worked for me, and we developed a very close bond, and we have that same bond today, and I celebrate that. I celebrate our relationship. And so somewhere during that time, my husband and I were also working in ministry, and we were helping couples and families. And I decided, I think I want to go back to school, because what people are experiencing, we can tell our story, because by then we had been through a lot. By the time we had Kiara, we had overcome infidelity. We had been healed from so many marriage wounds and pains, and this is not that episode either. But we were on the upswing, and so we were helping others and sharing our story, and our story wasn't unique. Many couples were going through similar things, but then I realized that the individuals in the couple within the marriage were experiencing things like mental health issues that were far beyond what we could do just sharing our story and encouraging them. So I went back to school and I got another degree. And so I got my master's in marriage and family, and that is where I am now, licensed marriage and family therapist, and absolutely loving what I do. It's a call, and I know that this is the last for me in terms of career, and I celebrate that. I celebrate every time I'm able to help a couple prepare for marriage. I celebrate every time I am able to help a couple who is already married find hope and healing. I celebrate the fact that my husband and I have found healing. We are not perfect. We have to be intentional about our relationship. When you start out at 18 and 21 with a myriad of negative experiences, it takes a lot to shed all of those negative experiences to get to the good part. But I can say that my husband is a friend to me. He is, my husband will go to the moon, circle the moon, come back, and go back for me. I don't think that there is really anything that he wouldn't do for me as long as it's legal. He is a cheerleader of mine, and I celebrate you tonight, my guy. And learning every day, even after 41 years, trying to be intentional every day with how I show up in my marriage. I'm not always good at it. In my early days, I could admit today that I probably wasn't the best wife. We weren't the best for each other in our early days, but we've figured it out, and I'm grateful. I'm really, really grateful for that. Not everybody can say that they can celebrate 41 years. It'll be 41 years the end of June, and we should have been a statistic, but we're not. So, he said he might rob a bank for me. I don't want you to do that, because then you'll be in jail, and I can't celebrate you being in jail. So don't rob a bank for me. But you funny. So thank you, Q. And I know why you're saying you love everything about this live is because you know that this is a whole move out of your BFF's comfort zone, and you are celebrating me tonight with being able to share this. And I really hope somebody is encouraged, because I think I don't know if I said this earlier. I think people, when they look at me now, they think that I grew up with a silver spoon in my mouth and that I never had anything that I experienced. But I'm really hoping that people will be encouraged that it doesn't matter what age. When I went back to get my my PhD, which is the final degree, when I went back to get my PhD, I was already in my 40s, and you're just you're never too old to achieve a goal if that is, your goal. And so I'm really hoping that people will be encouraged by me taking this time, that even though I'm celebrating me, that it gives you hope and encouragement to celebrate you, and not feel like you're being too proud or bragging or anything like that. I told Q the other day, if people don't know what I do, how will they, how will they know, one, to Christians, one, how would they know to pray for my business? If people don't know what I do, how would they know to sow into my business? How will the philanthropists know where to give if they don't know anything about Mending Hearts being here? So, but I'm going to get to that. So, somewhere, it was a little before my PhD, before my decision to go back to school, my husband and I started ministry. We believed that it was a call, and I have only spoken about the last year or the pandemic to 2022 about our ministry, but I hadn't shared much about the joys of the ministry. Watching people support you and be loyal and show up and be active in ministry. We had an amazing leadership team who just did everything that needed to be done to make ministry happen, and watching people grow and develop and helping to push people into their purpose, and all of that was amazing. And I don't want to ever gloss over that because of how things ended. Those were amazing years, and I would not, I really wouldn't trade those years. And so I celebrate the years of pastoring and being able to help people grow spiritually, being able to help people connect their emotional health with their spiritual health. We were really, really big on that. We were big on mind, body, spirit growth. We were big on helping people operate in their spiritual gifts, and big on helping people and discipling people and helping them to realize their potential in God. And so I celebrate those years, and again, wouldn't trade them. When we started out the first episode, we started with talking about how things ended. And I realized that I can celebrate that now as well, because if they hadn't ended that way, I wouldn't have taken this journey. I would have still been muddling along. So we would have still been just going in there completely drained and just doing it because that was what we would believe that we should be doing. And so I'm grateful, and I celebrate the ending and the way it ended, because it brought me to this place to be able to take an entire year. I remember saying, I just want to live. I just want to experience life. I want to live for me. And that is what I set out to do the beginning of 2022. And the entire year and now, I have been on this freedom journey, mind, body, and spirit. And which brings me to that part of this journey, working on my wellness. I don't think that people can be healthy or whole without working on their mind, their body, physical body, and their spirit. Oftentimes, people growing up in church, as I did, the primary focus is spiritual growth and development. And a lot of those scriptures that talk about taking care of the temple, taking care of your physical body, that you're bought with a price, that you are supposed to steward your temple, that he desires you to be whole, mind, body, spirit, that he would that we would prosper and be in good health. We say those scriptures, but we don't live like we believe those scriptures. And so, or I grew up with the list of things that would put me in there was a list of dues that would put me in right standing with Jesus Christ. But on that list, there was nothing regarding caring for and stewarding the temple except for not drinking and smoking. There was nothing about how we ate. There was nothing about exercise. There was nothing about getting good rest. There was nothing about making sure our vitamin D levels were adequate and getting good sunlight. There was nothing about making sure that we get good sleep, good sleep routines and rest. Nothing about that. And so that's been part of my journey to ensure that my physical body aligns with my emotional health and aligns with my spiritual health, because I just really don't think that you can have one without the other. There are so many people who are in church who are depressed, who have anxiety, who can't seem to believe the scriptures that everyone else is quoting. They can't seem to believe it for themselves. And they really don't understand how brain fog and their brain fog is connected to their anxiety or their depression. They can't comprehend how eating a meal, a nutritious meal, and being mindful of how much sugar they take in or how much carbs they take in, or what they may have food sensitivities to. They don't realize how much of a connection that is to how they show up, and how much it impacts their emotional health, and how much their emotional health impacts their spiritual growth and development. So it's all tied. And so when I went on this journey, I was really intentional about taking care of my physical body. So I celebrate that part. I celebrate every day that I'm able to get up and go walking. I walk 6 miles. Today I did 7.76 miles, 17,000 steps. I walked outside 5.8 miles, and I celebrate that. 972 moved calories and 108 minutes of exercise. I feel good. I'm tired because of some of the things that mentally I have going on in my workspace, which I'm getting ready to share the greatest of the celebrations. But I feel good physically. I have lowered my sugar intake, lowered my carb intake. I'm gluten conscious. I'm not gluten free, but I am definitely gluten conscious. I'm dairy conscious, so I don't fill myself up on things that like breads and pastas and things like that have gluten in it, and high carb intake. I don't really fill myself up on things that are processed foods. And those who live with me and those who work with me know that I am a salad girl, and I can really eat salad every day. I can eat the same thing every day, which is not good for you, but I can do that. So I've been just really trying to take care of my body. I go to bed at the same time every night, get the same amount of hours of sleep. I try to, during my walk, do my meditation, listen to worship music. During that time, try to do something uplifting to help me move forward in my business. And I just try to make it a combination. My goal is to tithe time to me, 2 hours and 40 minutes a day, just for me, and not be guilty about it. And so, so my last celebration is where I am today as a CEO. Extremely excited about the blessing of moving from one ministry to focus completely on my counseling ministry. And I think about a lot of things that were prophesied and spoken to me, spoken to us in our church. And when things were ending, those things were coming back to me, and it became very clear that those things would still happen, but they would happen in the counseling ministry as opposed to in the church ministry. And so currently, I am the CEO of Mending Hearts Behavioral Health and Family Services. Grew from a private practice, Mending Hearts Family Counseling, to now being a New Jersey state licensed mental health outpatient clinic. And we serve over 250 clients a week who are getting amazing help here from a team of 18 counselors. We specialize in being able to integrate, even all of my counselors are clinically trained, but we specialize in being able to integrate Christian principles into the counseling treatment plan if clients so desire. And so we have many churches that refer their congregants here because they know that that is one of the things that we specialize in. We treat all mental health issues, anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress, OCD, ADHD, PTSD, all of the letters of the alphabet as it relates to diagnoses. We work with couples, we work with families. We get a lot of couples here because I am a marriage and family therapist and my name is listed on the insurance networks. We take over 19 insurances. We accept Medicaid. I am excited about the work that is being done here. And I believe that God has put his stamp of approval on this business. We're not always, up high on the mountain. There's a lot of work to be done. So sometimes it feels very weighty, but in my spirit, I know that it's already been great, but there's much more in store for Mending Hearts. I know that there's resources to come for some of the programs that we desire to have that insurance doesn't necessarily pay for. We've offered so many people free services. We have given so much pro bono help that I know that there has to be a return for all that has been given out. And so I'm convinced of that. Every day doesn't feel that, but I know in my knower, now I'm in church, but I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that we're going to, it's going to be in more than one location. I am already licensed in PA, and I do plan to open up an office in PA next year. I plan to get my license in New York. We are a facility that believes in helping the whole person. So we do have a mind, body, spirit mentality here, that when we're helping our clients, we don't want to just look at where they are emotionally, but what their diet is like, so that they can move from some of the stuck places that having a leaky gut or having brain fog or some of those health issues that impact emotional health. And so I'm just very proud of where I am. I'm proud of my team. I wouldn't be able to do what I do without the help of my managerial team, without the help of my admin team, without the face of the organization when people walk in the door, without those who do the counseling. Everyone we're a family here, and just to be able to work in an environment where it's peaceful, where people are not clawing at other people to try to get, up on climb the ladder. It's just an amazing place, if I say so myself, to be employed. And so I'm excited. I'm excited about the things that have been that I know will happen. my friend Tanya, she said to me one day, she just said the word stratosphere. And I know that stratosphere is the highest level of one's profession. And I take words that are spoken to me very, very seriously. There was another person that said that I would be a trailblazer. I hold on to those, and that was said to me like 25 years ago. I hold on to those words because, and I encourage you as well. When people say good things about you, hold on to that and use it as a way to propel you to move forward, propel you to reach goals. So I use those words to, especially when things get hard, especially running a business is not easy. So when things get hard, I hold on to the words that were spoken into my ear. I'm like, no, I'm a trailblazer. I can continue. I can do this. I can keep moving forward, and all of the encouragement that has been given me. So I see, as I thought that we were going to be purchasing this entire cul-de-sac for the church, I know now that we will be purchasing this entire cul-de-sac for the counseling center, for another ministry that God birthed in my heart, and it is now a 501c3. It's called Hope Haven at Mending Hearts, and that is a ministry that's specifically for faith leaders. Having experienced the things that I experienced as a faith leader, watching faith leaders and how they move, and knowing that they need a place of respite, they need a place to be able to get good godly counsel. That's why Mending Hearts, Hope Haven at Mending Hearts was birthed. So I see this whole cul-de-sac being utilized for mind, body, spirit wellness. And I'm excited about it. I can't wait. I can't wait to purchase this building. The building that we're in, the church used to also be in this building, but now we are occupying the entire building in various ways. We have 7,500 square feet here. And I'm just excited about where we're going, what we're doing, and what is to come next. And so that is the celebration of me. And I really, 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 really hope that tonight's episode encouraged you to take the next step of whatever goals you have established in life and not feel like you can't do it, or even if you feel like you can't do it, just continue to move forward and celebrate along the way. When you celebrate along the way, it gives you, it kind of revitalizes you. It helps you to minimize burnout. Celebration raises those hormones, that the happy hormones in you, and helps to sustain you and keep you from feeling overwhelmed and completely stressed. And so I encourage you to take a journey of celebration. Take a journey of you. And while you're taking your journey, this will help you. Set your body free, mind, body, and spirit, a journal to freedom. If any of you want to start a journey and don't know how to start your freedom journey, I would encourage you to purchase the journal that I wrote while I was taking my journey. And I know that it will, it will bless you. It will be one that will help you to begin to think mind, body, spirit. A lot of people don't even think about caring for all parts of themselves. And so you can find this on my website, drdanittathompson.com. So I just want to end with encouraging you as you celebrate you. And you may not be able to answer these questions in a positive way initially, but as you continue to reflect and take a journey of you, focus on yourself in recognizing that the one relationship that is forever is your relationship with yourself. And so you need to celebrate you. When you wake up in the morning, look in the mirror. Do I like myself? Can I laugh with myself? Can I take me on vacation? Do I enjoy who I see when I am looking in the mirror? Do I think that I'm worth it? Do I like my thoughts? Do I what's no longer serving me well? What things do I need to shed and unload or unpack? What have I unpacked in my bags with Dr. Danita? What things worked for me way back when that are no longer working for me today? What about me can I celebrate? Well, thank you so much for joining. Each of you, I'm so glad that you logged in on tonight. If you didn't get to see the entire episode, I promise you that it will be one that you don't want to miss. So go ahead, and if you're watching the replay, put in there #replay, and it's not too late to share and also give me those thumbs up so I can go back and look to see who was on with us on tonight. This is the final episode, and be on the lookout for what's next. I don't have a topic for you. If you have a topic that you think would be beneficial for the viewers, you can private message me? Yeah. DM me. Yeah, DM me. And let me know what you think. Thanks again, and have a good evening.